So hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Sunny, your host, and today in this tutorial we are going to cover these three topics. First of all, we will see that how you can take user input with user input in Python, and then we will see that what is data type conversion, which is also known as implicit conversion, and then we will talk about the data type casting, and which is also known as explicit conversions. So let's look into them one by one. So first of all, let's start covering the user input in Python. So user input in Python means, let's say, if you want to make your piece of code dynamic and if you want to take user input on the go, that means if the program is running, so while that at that time, if you want to take the input, so yes, you can go for a user input in Python. So let's take one example. Let's say if I have to give you, or let's take a simple example. First of all, let's say we have a variable called as name, where I can specify my name, Sunny, and there is another variable, let's say lecture. So where I can specify, let's say, introduction to Python. And then I want to make a statement here that, so let's say this is the two variables that I have, and I want to make a statement, or I want to print a statement before the beginning of the class that, hello everyone, my name is Sunny and welcome to the lecture of on whatever is the topic here. So if I try to run it, so let's see the outcome here. So I will use this Python and demo.py, and if I run this, so it will simply print out all the statement. But let's say if I change the lecture name, so let's say if I talk about user input in Python, so this is my lecture name, and now if I run it, so again I will keep on getting different results. But what happens that I am actually doing the editing in my code. So when you keep on changing the code more frequently like this, so there is a chance of getting bugs. Bugs means like you knowingly or unknowingly you might mess up the code, because right now it is just 11 lines, okay, including the comments. So let's say if you are doing 1,000 lines of code are there, so this could be a problematic, or this could create problems. So what we can do is we can make these things which we want to make changes, or where we want to make changes, we can make them dynamic in nature. So what I will do is, instead of this approach, I will simply write input here, and I will also give a prompt, let's say name of the lecture. And now if I try to run it, so you will see that it will ask me a prompt that what is the name of the lecture that you want to begin with. So let's say if I want to talk about data type casting. So if I run this, so you can see now it has become dynamic. Similarly, if I want to change the name, I can simply replace it with the input function, and I will provide a prompt here. Now this prompt which I provided here, it is not mandatory, but it is definitely recommended. Why? Because let's say if I do not give that and again try to rerun the code, so it appears that it is not running. But if I try to maybe print something here, let's say intro to data types, and if I run it, so it will print that here at the last line. So that is why it is a good practice that you should provide a logical prompt or relevant prompt here, so that the user who is not aware about your program or code, so they can understand by just getting the prompt, so they can provide you some relevant information as required. So that was an introduction to user input in Python. So before we jump into these two topics, let's also take one more example that will lead us there. So let me comment this out as of now. So now let's say that you want to take age as an input, and then after that, let's say you want to just print out that what will be the age of the person after, let's say, 5 years. So this is the n value here. So what I will do, I will simply print here that age of the user after n years will be simply age plus n. So let's run this and see the outcome. So right now it is asking your age. So let's say I am writing 24. So it should be 29, but let's see the answer. So you can see that you will get a type error here. Why you are getting a type error is because the input that we have got here is of different data type, and the input that we have here, or the value of this n, is actually of type integer. So let's verify that what went wrong, why this simple program went wrong. Okay, so let's try to understand that. So for that, we have to get to know that what is the data type that we are getting here. So for that, we will also make some print statement. So let's type the type of age variable. We will print that, and also we will print the data type of n variable. And let's try to run it again. So age 34, let's say. So you can see here right now, so the type of the age variable is string, and the type of n variable is integer. So that is why we are not able to add them together, because even mathematically or programmatically it is not allowed. So what is the solution here? The solution is that if the age, if we convert that into or cast that into some other data type which we can add with the integer, so then it should work. So let's try that. So what I will do is I will write here before and after statement. So here, in order to change this age variable whose current data type is string, I will convert them into integer. So in order to convert or cast them into integer, what I will do, I will simply use int here. And now if you see that this, I will mark it as a before and this I will mark it as after. So now let's observe this. So right now, again, let's see 24. So you can see now it did not give error. It gave you the answer, that is 29. So see here, so before it was of type string. Later on, with the help of integer function here, I was able to convert this into integer. And now since both of these value, that is age plus n, both of them are now integer, so they can add together and they will give you the answer. So this type of data conversion is called as explicit conversion, because we have converted it forcefully. Like it was not an automatic conversion by Python. But we will see some more example where Python automatically converts it. So those are called as implicit conversions. Or you can also call it as a data type conversion, which automatically happens. So few examples you can understand here, that let's say if you add float plus integer, so it will work. And if you divide float by integer, so it will work. But if you divide float by string value, so it will not work. So those are the cases where we should, I think if you see some more examples, you will realize that where we have to do the conversion, where we don't have to do conversion. So let's try to look into this. So first of all, we will take some examples of implicit conversion where the conversion happens automatically. So let's take an example here. So we have one integer number, that is x, and we have a float number which is 37.4. So the outcome of this will be float only. So let's try to verify that. So for this, what I will do is I will try to first of all print all these values. So you will see that if I try to run this, so why I have printed in this way, because so that we can observe that what is the value of x, what is the value of y, and so. Now let's try to observe their data types. So I have written here type of x, type of y, and type of z. Again, you can see a good use of f string that we have seen in the first or second class. So let's try to now run this and see the outcome. So you can see that type of x is integer and type of y is float. Even though they have a different data type, they are able to, we can add them, right? And even if you observe here, so it is mathematically possible, right? So it's a real number without any decimals, not having any decimal value. Here it is a float value which is having a decimals. So definitely if you add them, so it is possible mathematically as well as in Python. So what happened? So the result of it became float. So in a similar example, let's try to also observe few more examples like this. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to multiply integer with the float. So again, in this case, let's try to observe, and also let me comment the first one so that we will not keep on getting the same results. So you can see now again. So in this example where we are multiplying integer with the float, so the data type of x was integer, y is float, and if you get the multiplication, so the outcome will be float only. So I think this is, again, if you can remember your basic mathematics, so you can understand that yes, it is mathematically allowed as well as it is correct as well. Let's take one more example. Now here what I'm doing is I'm dividing integer with integer. So where 24 is an integer, 37 is also an integer. If I divide them together, so we will end up getting float number, because there is no perfect division here. So the 24 cannot be divided by 37 perfectly. But even though if it is perfectly divisible, still it will return in float. The answer will be in float only. So these conversions are known as implicit conversions. So you can verify here in the results. So 24 by 37 is this much, and you can clearly visible it is of type float. So I think you have got the idea that what is implicit conversions. So you can try some more examples, like you can even add float and let's say complex number, and see what is the data type of the output, and let me know in the comments. Okay, next is, now let's talk about the explicit conversions. So one example we have already seen about explicit conversion, that where we definitely need to convert the data, otherwise it will throw a type error. So let's take a few more example here. So now let's look into this example here. So we have x which is of type string, and we have y which is of type integer, and let's see if it works or not. So you can see that it will going to give you type error. It says can only concatenate string with float. So string concatenation means like when you add two string values. So it's nothing but it will be concatenated together. So one example I can give you here itself. Let's say if I convert this into a string here by using double quotes, and if I run it, so you will see that it will give you an outcome as 24.4, and then it will be appended just behind that, that is 37.4. So that's called a string concatenation, which we will also cover in the string data type lecture. It has its whole dedicated lecture. So we will cover there. So right now you can see that it did not give any error because these two data types were same, and that's why it was able to perform concatenation. It is not doing any addition, mathematical addition. Now let's try to go with this approach. So right now you can see that it's going to give you an error because you cannot add any string value with float value. So what we can do here, we can simply convert this value into float. If we do so, then we will get the answer. So let's try to do that. So again, if you want to convert or cast any data type into some other, so you can simply use their signature. So right now I'm using float. If you want to convert this into integer, you can try so, but it will definitely give you an error. So let's try to run first of all this. So you can see now we have all of the data type is now float, and we have got the answer as 61.8. That means it's a mathematically correct answer. Now let me even, like in front of you, let's try this to, let's say if I want to convert this into integer, let's see what happens. So you can see again, it is going to give you an error. What it says that it is a value error, invalid literal for integer with base 10. So let me remove this decimal at the end and let's see what we get now. You can see now it gave you the answer. So what is the solution here? If you want to convert this 24.4 into integer only, so what will be the solution? Solution will be, first of all, convert this into float and then convert this into an integer. And now if you try, so you will see that it will work. So let's see the value of x. So the value of x will now be 24. It will drop the decimal value. So that is why, like you can see, let's say if you want to drop a decimal value at some point of time, maybe in any problem statement, if it is required that you just need the integer value of, or this value of a float value or a decimal value, so you can simply use this conversion. Okay, so these were the example of explicit conversion, and it is very important topic, guys, because you will encounter this more oftenly, that you have to convert one data type to another. One simple example was when you take the input as by using the user input method of Python, so it always return you a string. So obviously you have to convert that into some other data type or useful data type that you want to. So that was a quick lecture on data type conversion as well as data type casting. So here is in one line, you can understand that what they mean. So if you like this information that I provided, so then do like and subscribe and share it with others if you find this useful. And apart from that, I would also like to show you something. So I have already created a documentation for all of you. So whatever lecture I'm taking will be properly arranged at this URL, which I keep on sharing normally on in my videos. And you can see that it is the home page here, and here it's a playlist. So let's say if you want to watch it here itself, so you can watch it here. You can simply go to next, and so you can easily navigate to the entire playlist here itself. And apart from that, if you want to find out any maybe notes about, let's say, data types, so you can simply go to data types and you can even see their individual video. And if you want to click on this, if you click on this data type notes, so it will lead you to that page. And here, whatever I taught in the lecture, it will be arranged properly with some more information. So that's how this is arranged. And let's go to the home page. And even if I use any of the, let's say, if I use any handwritten notes, so yes, that is also available here in the PDF format. So if you click here, so it will open the PDF here itself. So I hope this will make your learning smooth or investing time into it. So that's all for this lecture, guys. I hope you liked it. So keep on learning and keep on exploring. Thank you all.